That is all from the team for now. I'll be back with the late news at 10. Now on BBC One, it's time for the news wherever you are. Bye-bye.
Hello, good evening. Retailers are facing a difficult Christmas unless action is taken now to tackle the shortage of HGV drivers and other problems with the supply chain. The warning comes from the Scottish Retail Consortium, whose sister organisation has written to UK ministers calling on them to offer temporary visas to drivers from the EU. Stephen Godden reports.
Toy shops are places full of childhood wonder. But keeping the shelves stocked is a matter of cold, hard business reality. And here in Edinburgh, they're busy trying to head off potential trouble.
Our suppliers are basically sending out emails, pretty much all of them, warning us that it's going to be massive stock shortages in the run-up to Christmas and to expect problems and to try and basically get our orders in as quickly as we can. If we can sort of do as much as possible now, then we should be in a reasonably good position going to Christmas. That said, there will be shortages.
Donald puts the problem down to a combination of COVID and Brexit, a shortage of drivers to move goods around the UK, adding to the difficulty importing from Asia, where many of the toys are made. If you sell toys for a living, then Christmas is important. But given the supply chain problems, businesses across the retail sector are eyeing the calendar nervously.
For retailers, Christmas really starts in about October. That's when you see the first lines coming into store, everything from mince pies to gifting products. And so that's when the capacity starts to increase. And almost week on week, that builds up. And if we don't see action, that pressure on an already stretched system is going to be harder and harder for retailers to manage.
The industry body have written to UK ministers asking for support to train new HGV drivers and in the short term offer temporary visas to drivers from the EU. Without action, they say, a situation that's for now manageable risks turning into a crisis. Stephen Godden reporting, Scotland.
A fisherman has died and 2 others were taken to hospital after their boat capsized off the Aberdeenshire coast. The incident happened near the village of Catterline on Saturday afternoon. The man, aged 61, was airlifted to hospital in Aberdeen and later pronounced dead. 2 other men, aged 67 and 58, were taken to hospital by ambulance. Meanwhile, 2 swimmers were also rescued by Coast Guards after they got into difficulty off Holtman in Moray. Police say they're treating as unexplained the death of a 54-year-old woman at a pub in Aberdeenshire. The emergency services were called to the Harbour Bar in Gurdon at around 1:45 this morning. The force says its inquiries are at an early stage. Gunshots were fired at a house in Edinburgh during a targeted attack as children played nearby. Detectives said a window was damaged in the property on Birdie House Drive shortly before 9 p.m. on Friday. A man, a woman and 2 young children were inside at the time, but no one was injured. A national antibody testing programme is to be rolled out across the UK, which aims to improve understanding and gain vital data about antibody protection following COVID infection and vaccination.
So people are taking 2 tests if they test positive and they're eligible. The first one will be before their body has responded to that new infection. So that first test may tell us something about whether they still have antibodies present, for example, from a vaccine, because the vast majority of people participating will have had 1, possibly 2 doses of a vaccine. The second thing is we'll be able to look at how they respond to the new infection. And that will be important after around 28 days. And there may be some people, hopefully a small group, who do not produce a good immune response. And that, of course, may give information about what we need to do to protect those individuals.
Well, let's take a look at today's COVID figures, and there have been 3,190 new cases reported in the past 24 hours. That represents 10.8% of all those tested. 338 patients are in hospital, of whom 34 are in intensive care. There have been no new reported deaths. The Scottish Refugee Council says it would like to see 10,000 people a year coming into the UK from Afghanistan. The Armed Forces Minister has said that efforts to evacuate Britons and eligible Afghans from Kabul are improving. But the Refugee Council says many families are finding it impossible to leave.
for those people trying to get onto the existing scheme, it is very narrow, and even for those on it, we're already seeing how difficult it is to get to the airport and get out. So I think some are having to make very, very difficult decisions. That, you know, I hold a British passport, my wife doesn't hold a British passport. What do I do?
Hibs have moved to the top of the Scottish Premiership despite being held by Dundee at Dens Park. The Edinburgh side were leading until Paul McGowan headed a late equaliser to earn his side a 2-2 draw, moving Dundee into 9th spot in the league. In the day's other matches, the scores were Hearts 1, Aberdeen 1, Ross County 2, Rangers 4, St Johnstone 0, Dundee United 1. Sweden's Anna Nordqvist has just won the Women's British Open Golf Championship at Carnoustie. She recorded a one-shot victory to finish 12 under par. Time for the weather forecast now. Joy's at the map for us.
Good evening. Well, after quite a misty, murky start to the day, much of the country did see some clear spells, brightness and even sunshine today. Now, looking at the upcoming week, we do have high pressure most definitely in charge, and that is going to bring with it drier conditions, variable cloud and again some good sunshine. Feeling warm initially, but towards the end of the week starting to feel a tad cooler. Tonight though, a relatively dry, cloudy night to come where we do have a few showers. Again, these could be heavy, but they will largely fizzle out overnight. Clear spells developing, particularly in the west, and another very mild night to come. Temperatures in double digits across the board, but with winds falling light, we'll also see mist and fog patches developing. So tomorrow, therefore, again, is going to be a misty, murky start for much of the country. That will thin and break, though, as the day progresses, and indeed we will see some good spells of sunshine developing. So if you take a look in more detail around 4 o'clock, we see that for much of the country, it is going to be sunny and feeling very pleasant as temperatures peak around 23, 24 Celsius with light winds. Where we do have the thicker cloud, it could feel quite close, and again it will be cooler in the islands, particularly for Shetland. Under that cloud, temperatures really struggling to get above 14 or 15 Celsius. And taking a look at the UK as a whole, well, it is going to be a fine day, plenty of sunshine, yet again the chance of the odd shower, and temperatures peaking around 24 Celsius. And Tuesday, well, little change, a fine day to come with lots of sunshine, staying cloudy though in the Northern Isles and cooler for Shetland, but feeling warm in that sun for the rest. And that's your forecast.
And that's all for now. I'll be back with the late bulletin after the 10 o'clock news. Until then, have a good night. Bye-bye.